Good evening. Welcome to Short Story Time Theater with William Baxter. That's me. And tonight's story is Let No Man Put Asunder, which is a short story mixing fiction with nonfiction about Father Valentine, or as we know him today, Saint Valentine. Let no man put asunder. In the year 268 AD, there arose a tyrannical Roman emperor by the name of Claudius Gothicus, or Claudius II. Claudius held the belief that young men would make better Roman soldiers than husbands, and so the institution of marriage was outlawed. And should any priest violate the emperor's outrageous law, the priest would be taken out and beheaded. One day that same year, a man named Phineas sat down next to his sweetheart, Sophia, unaware of the emperor's law. He asked Sophia to be his wife, and with great joy she said yes. Phineas and Sophia arose and went to Sophia's mother and father, so that Phineas could ask them for their blessings and to give them the good news. But Sophia's father said, I'm sorry, but I'm afraid that the two of you cannot be wed. Why not, father? Asked Sophia. Her father replied, Emperor Claudius has outlawed marriages, as he feels young men like Phineas would make better Roman soldiers than husbands and fathers. But I haven't been ordered to enlist as a Roman soldier, said Phineas. This is outrageous. Nevertheless, the emperor wants you to remain without a wife should he have need of your service in the Roman army. I am sorry, my son, as I know that this is a terrible law. But if we bring the wrath of Claudius against us, it could mean certain death. Sophia got up and ran out into the courtyard and sat down at the courtyard bench and wept heavily. Phineas went out to his sweetheart and comforted her. Sophia leaned her head onto Phineas's shoulder just as a pleasingly plump priest came strolling by. The strange priest looked at Phineas and said, What ails her, my son? The priest hadn't yet heard about the emperor's ridiculous law. Phineas replied, Sophia and I wish to be wed, but Emperor Claudius forbids the institution of marriage, as he feels men like me would make better Roman soldiers than lovers and husbands. What? Retorted the priest. All of a sudden, the fat, jolly friar was not so jolly. That's preposterous, exclaimed the priest. The two of you belong together, and God has brought you together. That is plain to see. Our Lord said, Whom God has brought together, let no man put asunder. And no man shall put what you two share asunder, not even the emperor. My children, my name is Father Valentine. Come with me, and you shall be married this afternoon in my secret chamber. So Phineas and Sophia were married that same day by Father Valentine. He charged the newlywed couple not to tell anyone about the marriage ceremony. Phineas and Sophia lived a happy life together, and eventually a time came where their marriage no longer had to be a secret from the rest of the world. Father Valentine realized there would be other couples longing for wedded bliss, but felt miserable because of the emperor's law. Valentine traveled through the empire looking for couples who wanted to be wed, and he performed many underground marriages. Soon the word got out around the many couples throughout the empire about Valentine's underground marriage ceremonies. They came to him and he willingly performed the weddings. Being as couples longing to be wed found out about Father Valentine's secret weddings, the emperor and his men were certain to find out about the secret weddings as well. One day, Valentine got caught. He was arrested by the Roman authorities and thrown into one of the emperor's darkest dungeons. The date of February 14th was set aside for Valentine's execution. While Father Valentine was in prison, a young lady, name unknown, paid him regular visits. After a while, Valentine and the young woman started to grow very close. Valentine also established a friendship with one of the jailers. Whenever the young woman was unable to visit the priest in his cell, Valentine would often write messages and love letters and give them to the jailer to take and deliver to the young lady. They were all signed from your Valentine. That young lady also would have love letters sent to the priest, which were addressed to my Valentine. This, of course, kicked off a popular holiday tradition much later on in history. Finally, the day of February 14th came as Father Valentine was taken out and beheaded. And so Valentine took his rightful place as a servant of God in the church triumphant. Years later, after his death, Valentine was venerated as a Christian martyr, and later he was canonized. From that time on, Father Valentine was known as Saint Valentine. The date of his death, February 14th, became the feast day of Saint Valentine. Later on, the feast day of Saint Valentine became an important day for couples all over the world to reflect on their love for each other, and Valentine's Day has become the most commercialized one. Today, people, especially couples, continue to celebrate Saint Valentine's Day and the life of Father Valentine. The end. You all have a good week now, and I'll be back with more short story time theater presentations. Good night.